and SHIT. Plug my backup battery in for good measure here. Alright, so as you can see, we have an exploded compressor. We're going to get the tear down as soon as I get it. There'll be a lot of metal in this one. We are authorized to replace everything in this vehicle that has any hint of metal in it. So if this AC compressor shot metal into the hose, we replace the hose. If it's shotted into the condenser, we replace the condenser. I'm really hoping we don't find anything in the evaporator port, but that means I'm trying to park the cabin, and that's going to take a few hours. By a few hours, probably half a day. Pulling the evaporator port out this far. I've already done a recovery on this system, and there was little to nothing left in the system. The system holds 1 pound of Freon, and I had 1 pound. It just goes back to my earlier points, trying to educate people about AC systems. These car AC systems, you do need to get them re-inspected. 30,000 miles. Your manufacturer will not tell you that. Most shops will not even suggest an idea, and they won't suggest the idea unless for the reason that they don't do that, and or they don't even bother trying to explain to people why they need it. And there's nothing worse than a shop hates to do is explain why they need something. Somebody who doesn't even understand what it is. I get that point. Because it's so hard now to tell people how to maintain vehicles when they keep rebounding with it. Until the manufacturer said transmission fluid is lifetime. The manufacturer said it doesn't need to be serviced. The manufacturer said yeah, well, the manufacturer is telling you that everything in the system is perfect. It's a perfect world. But the repair bill in this, golly, $1,500 compressor, $400 hose, $300 hose, $200 condenser, $200 evaporator core, the Freon, $200 a pound. Thank you.
This used to have an alternate GMC.
I believe it. I see it very frequently with this compressor right here, and like there was just nothing in the system. So this person was probably just didn't care that they were like, oh, I don't need AC, but they don't understand you still need the damn Freon, and you still need the oil in the system to lubricate it because it's still attached to the belt. It's still doing something.
How did that fucking snap off?
Because this seat, this is locked up. So it just snapped us off.
Lucky the belt, he drove this motherfucker in.
Yeah.
He drove it in and said, there's a noise when I start my engine. I didn't mention that fucking thing about the air conditioner. And I was like, has your AC been acting up? Because Jeremy pulled it in, I saw the hood open, and I saw this like that, basically in the same spot. And I was like, have you had any issues with the AC? He's like, oh yeah, it hasn't been blowing cold.
Yeah, but he just didn't care.
He didn't care, and I was like, yeah. Because your fucking pulley snapped off. You're like you didn't tear the belt off.
Like we had the one customer who we told, they said like, hey, you need a belt, and then a couple months later they came in on the tow truck, and the belt had flipped off, wrapped around the coolant hose, ripped the coolant hose off, and the engine blew up. And
you want to know the craziest thing?
You know the first thing they said was, you put that there. It's like, I put what there?
The craziest, like, catastrophic event I've seen was this lady came in with a check engine light and a ticking noise, right?
Yeah.
And so we did some research. We found that we had issues with the valves, and without just using a force field, without taking the cross out. Or extended warranty wanted me to get the customer to approve teardown to find the root cause of failure. So we tore down, and sure enough, we found debris in the cylinder. And we're like, what's that? We tracked it down. It was a catalytic converter debris. So apparently, she had a fuel leak at some point, like internally.
Yeah.
It was seeping out through the exhaust, broke down the material in the converter. And then the converter broke apart internally, and the back pressure pulled some of that material back up into the cylinder and fucked up the valve. Pulled up the cylinder. So then they declined it because we don't cover converters. And this lady was stuck with some like $2,000 worth of teardown. And she's like, you told me that? No, like, I didn't tell her. I said they have to get you to approve this first, and if the repair is covered, then they'll cover it. But if it's not, it's not.
That's why I hate this big warranty stuff. They're so shiesty with that. It's just like that other customer that I was going through with that STI. It's like he had a phaser that was wonky, and then he had a stuck rich code. I diagnosed it to O2 sensors, and then I just said, I'm like, you know, we should fix the O2 sensors and the oil leaks first, and then we'll reassess this phaser thing. But like for some reason, the company just approved the phaser to go with it. I'm like, that's weird, but they wouldn't give me a timing belt. And I said, I'm not reusing a 100,000 mile timing belt. So I avoided that whole section of the job. I did the O2 sensors, I fixed the oil leaks, I did a reassessment. I'm like, hey, what do you know? That phaser came back to life. I was like, there's probably one or two things that caused that. One, it was a fuel management problem, and it was trying to correct it by changing, it was trying to phase it out. And secondly, they could have had some garbage oil in there that was clogging it up. And so then the customer's like, so like, why didn't you do the phaser? I'm like, because it didn't need it, and your company's not going to pay for all the old stuff that's going to get like corrupted as I take it. I was like, you got fatigue radiator hoses? I don't want to reuse them. Your company wants me to reuse them. They're 10 years old, 100,000 miles. I don't want to reuse them. And since they don't want to replace the timing belt, I'm definitely not even going in there. I'm not reusing a timing belt. Hell no. I says, you go find anybody that wants to do this. They're all going to tell you to take a hike. He goes, well, I shouldn't have to pay for anything. I was like,
There's this other.
we found out that his car was already cut you off. So I did a quick post check, and I was like, the car drove fine. Like, the land is great, the fuel trims are great. But when I parked it, and I did the long idle test, I says, it started overheating. You got a stuck thermostat. Insurance didn't want to do shit for this guy. And then this guy didn't want to do anything, so I had to have had my advisor add a post check statement line to cover our ass, being like, we recommend that you do not drive this out of here.
Yeah. I had this dude at Buick. He had an old lacrosse, and he bought car shield for his car. He had like 115,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
And he came in, another one with a check engine light. This is back in like 2018. And he, now, anytime I hear car shield, I say we don't use it. Because they're garbage. So again, 115,000 roughly on the clock. And
Car shield's garbage.
he had
So Car Shield was like third party,
Yeah.
and they're garbage.
Yeah.
There we go. We don't use third party cars named Car Shield.
he needed a timing change.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we're going to need every record of warranty. I'm like, you probably got 115,000 miles on it. Like, yeah, we're going to need that in order to approve the claim. So the dude dug and he found every fucking receipt aside from like one, because he got it at some independent shop, and they didn't have to claim because he didn't have that one oil change. And it was, mind you, that one oil change was like $30,000 back, and they declined the claim. So he wanted to pay for it out of pocket.
Dude, and that's what they're shady like that. Like we have to see every oil receipt since you've owned the vehicle for 60,000 miles. Like, how do you prove that stuff?
Yeah, freaked me out. But yeah, so after that, I was like, fuck Car Shield. I'm never telling somebody we're gonna use that warranty, because that puts me in a bind.
Dude, I had one third party that just like they were like purposely screwing them over. Like you had like I think you just had like a really bad person on the other end who's being a dick who didn't know how to overlook it.
Yeah.
But this guy was straight up trying to write off this third party because the customer was saying, he's like, hey, I changed my oil. He says, but I know that they want oil receipts, so I kept all the receipts for my oil. So he had all the purchase receipts of buying oil and buying oil filters. But here was a discrepancy that they said that wasn't good enough because he was buying his oil in gallons and not quarts. Yeah, he was buying oil in gallons, not quarts. So, of course, there's going to be like 1.5 quarts left over from every oil change. If it's a 4.5 quart oil change, you buy 2 gallons, and then you milk that leftover jug. So they were like, oh well, he wasn't doing it correctly because on this receipt he only bought 1 gallon, but then on this one he bought 2. But on these next 2 ones he bought 1 gallon. So he's not putting enough oil, and that was the reason why his engine has rod knock. Like, are you serious? I know exactly why. I was like, it's because he has the leftover and he's just holding on to it. Okay? Well, he needs to show individual quarts so that we know he's putting in the right amount of oil.
It's easier and cheaper to buy him by the gallon.
Yeah, and I says he's buying in bulk. Are you really going to deny his claim because the guy decided to buy in bulk? Then it says it's not me, it's the system. They want us. No, you just don't want to go to your boss and say, how do we handle this?
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Bunch of assholes.
Yeah. There you go. There's some tales from the crypt. Third-party claims that didn't want to pan out because the history on the vehicle just wasn't good enough. So I'm telling you folks, if you got third-party warranties, hell, if you got manufacturer warranty, you got extended warranty, whatever kind of warranty you got, you need to save everything. Put it in a binder. Better yet, it's 2024. Even the homeless people have smartphones, okay, with cameras. Take pictures, build a digital portfolio. Get a Google Drive account, all right? Get a Google Drive account. Everything in there. Do not. When catastrophic damage like this happens, these insurance companies do nothing but ask so many questions to blow the plane out of the water. That's their MO. This claim is just blown out of the water. It frustrates me so much that they would just hound customers like that. Now, some shops, they do report their services through Carfax. So Carfax is a good record, but don't count on it. If the shop didn't decide to back up their system with Carfax, you can always rely on a dealership to back up everything they do on a Carfax report. But a lot of these other places, Christian Brothers, Midas, Jiffy Lube. It's their decision if they want to back their system up there. And these independent shops, they normally start throwing away. They may not keep service records past a couple of years. That's not unusual for someone to walk into a shop and be like, "Hey, I once got my car here. How long ago? 5 years ago. I need to see the report, proof of work." Well, we threw those records out, or we don't maintain them that far back. Whatever they want to say. You're stuck with those results. Like I know for my shop, we keep records up to 10 years, and then they're purged. Okay, it's expensive maintaining records, all right? It's really, really expensive. We have. We don't purge them out of the system, but what happens is to free up our local space on our local servers, we will just condense down archive files by year, and then they go to another server that's off campus, and they're just there until we need more space. Then they'll say, "Hey, we're filling up our offline server. What do we do?" Well, we really don't need repair orders from 1995, so purge them, right? And think about it if it was your business and you were having to pay $1,200 a year in server space to maintain records and receipts for customers that are 20 years old. Eventually, you're just gonna be like, I can't afford that. I'm losing money. So a lot of shops, maybe they're just maintaining stuff long enough. The liability will run out. And they're not liable for holding them. They're not liable to hold on to them. They're gone. So obviously, we keep stuff at a minimum 10 years because we sell a 10-year warranty here, 10-year extended warranty. So that's why we're going to be maintaining 10 years plus 25% of that term. So we can go pretty far back. We had one poor family. They had manufacturer warranty, manufacturer extended warranty, and they got the money. Nothing we could do to help them because they live an hour away from where they bought the car, so obviously they're not going to be taking the car back to the dealership to go get oil changes. Right? I get that. Well, family man. He's the little 50 guy wire. He does everything himself. So the wife's job. Apparently, doing everything themselves, relying on her saying, "Hey, honey, are you for an oil change?" I don't know how they got to her car. I don't know how you can buy a brand new family car and then just let it go that long. They car went 35,000 miles on a factory oil change. And she was just dead set that her husband was doing all the tire rotations, all the oil changes, That car came in with full tires. Like there was nothing left on the tires, nothing left on the brakes. There's no engine oil. Like, it doesn't make sense. At some point in time, somebody had to ask himself, who's maintaining this car? But even I was asking myself, it's like, wait a second, so you got a new car, no one changed the oil, but there were service indicators that turn on, right? Time to change the oil, time to rotate the tires. So it means that somebody had to turn those off. Who turned them off? I wasn't the one poking and prodding the customer details, but I was definitely going, like, I looked at a whole fleet of new cars and I confirmed, yep, they're all come with the oil light indicator set on. So that oil light came on for maintenance, somebody turned it off. That sucks to buy a $50,000 car and then just grenade an engine. To put in a new crate engine, because at that point, there wasn't really much that could be saved. There was already cylinder head damage. There's cylinder head damage on both sides. You need two complete cylinder heads. You need a short block. Who knows if there's metal in the turbo. I think we quoted her about $7,000 to fix the engine with parts and labor. I mean, that engine was so locked up that we couldn't even rotate the crank to get the torque converter bolts out. We had to take the engine out with the torque converter. Not fun, by the way. Really not fun. Not fun. Because somebody upon high paid $800 to have that engine torn apart to just tell them it detonated due to lack of maintenance. Dumbest thing ever I've seen in my life. Factory filter, no oil. The oil pan is got 2.5 pistons laying in it, and you want one engine tear up. Somebody fucked it. There's nothing to put back together. It fell apart. Well, who did this, lady? Like, even if you $2,500.
So he's like, well, how are you gonna buy a used engine? Like, yeah, we'll sell a used engine, but
Like the serial number of this engine doesn't match. Your powertrain don't need anything anymore on the engine. I mean, your transmission's still covered.
yeah, there was a lot of you didn't understand. I felt that because
I see this stuff all the time. I did construction. People are construction for people who bought new model homes. So we're going into a new model home. It's 20 years old. And they were picking a fight saying, it's happening 15 years ago. It looks like the senior dryer caught everything. That's your dashboard.
all the wood you're supposed to
Take this bumper off to do the condenser. Obviously, I'm not following that procedure because
if I can play keep them up against the body camera.
I take that bumper off, and that bumper doesn't want to go back on straight because it's kind of sailed and worked in. Not to mention that this front left corner, it's got a nasty little ding on it.
Take a bumper off an old car, especially if it's plastic.
the effect from them relaxing on the ground. They kind of learn a new shape. And they just don't sit on the car right anymore. You gotta hire a body tech, come in, warm it up, smooth it out, install it. Pain in the butt. Should be a disconnect right here. Oh, great. So right there, proprietary line fitting. Be a special tool. Get her loose. There's two little pins in here that are about 1/16 pins. There's little two pins in there. And it unlocks this connector. I've yet to find an aftermarket version of this sort of stuff. But seriously, that's all it is. It's just a little box with some pre-formed tab on it. I knew hoses here. My hands are already just sweaty as hell from wearing this. There we got a new belt. New expansion valve. Just gonna go over there in the corner. And high speed today. Man, someone's already hating in the chat. Just get rid of it. Hey, you know what? You handle your car problems and you want to handle your car problems. He likes your negative Nancy attitude. Yeah, this isn't a negative Nancy channel. got their extended warranty and towing. Okay? I'm fortunate that I'm getting paid to do it. And because I'm getting paid to do it, I'm going to be able to put food on the table for the family. I'm not selling. doing a big warranty job like this, that costs a lot of money, a lot of parts involved. I highly recommend that you hold on to everything you replace, coverings, gaskets, seals, parts, just put them in a box and hold on to them for about a week after the customer picks up, because you want to wait until your claim closes on your shop side. There will be times when the claim doesn't pay out, and you'll call up the insurance and say, hey, why didn't it pay? Oh, well, we just want to see pictures of the parts of it. But, I'm talking about never doing business with that company again.
Third party for that stuff on them. They're like, no, you already approved the repair. We still wait to stop it and do the job. I want to make sure it's going to meet it. We need to support. So we're not going to release $4,000 payment? Alright. Let's see. Very little waste where, because they have a retainer fee, they've already spent the money for the year on a lawyer. So they're just gonna give their lawyer something shitty to do. Even though
This is open and closed. You approved it. Why? What am I fighting for? And they'd be like, yeah, just go waste their time. These third-party companies, they do that because they know that some of the other shops that just can't afford
a lawyer that comes to the court and think that the business is just that much.
or maybe they're just trying to save it like that.
So if you ever take your vehicle to a shop and somebody find out who your third party company is, and they decide they don't want to do business with you, probably because somebody around town told them, hey, this is what this company is.
We were all following suit.
We got a handful of third party companies we don't deal with. Third party companies, they know what they're doing.
They're good at it, and what they will do is they will start a business. They'll sell it. They'll have all these little mom and pop shops, little fighting dimes, sell to the third party. And when you go to use it, they'll kick you to the curb so hard. You won't know what to do. And they don't care. If the Better Business Bureau comes after them, they'll be like, oh yeah, we're bad. We're just gonna go. This behavior, and it's literal fraud. It is quite literal fraud that somebody on panel of people
Start a form of third party insurance company. Run it into the ground. Disband it once they get in trouble. Shut down the company and be like, whatever, we'll shut it down for paying all the fees and dealing with court system. They just run it, they just keep up the storm until somebody says, you need to stop. Somebody that actually has authority tells them they have to stop. And then retain everybody in the company. The board panel, the employees, the telemarketers, everybody. And it's maintenance. They offer, instead of AAA third-party insurance, they now quadruple it. And they pay out just enough time to see nothing. we'll start paying engine. If they're not selling enough new claims to cover their losses, they start telling the team, start keeping on. Because then they're going to go upside down. So if they sell, let's say they're selling policies at $2,500 a car. They make $250,000, and they make $250,000, but now they're paying out, I don't know, $800,000 in claims. They start telling their team, hey, we need to keep this under the 1 mil mark, so let's slow down the payout. Let's just start fighting prices. That's all it is. I saw this last claim party was calling out on it. They didn't even try. They didn't even try to say something differently, but it was this guy with the STI that needed a sprocket. And I said, hey, like, I'm not going into a 10-year-old car with 100,000 miles on it. I'm not going to rely on a rubber timing belt. I said, that's going to risk the integrity of my job, the customer's car. And they're like, no, like, these are the legit words that came from the person over the phone. He's like, that's what the third word is for. We're telling you what to do. So if there's other potential problems, like, I cut them off. I says, other potential problems, like this old belt decided to jump time, and now you got piston valve interference, and he's gonna need a short block and possibly 2 new cylinder heads, like $7,000 for the damage. I said, and he's like, oh, I said, let me tell you what's going to exactly happen in that situation. You are just going to blame my shop for incompetence. You're going to say, we timed it incorrectly, or we must have done something wrong. When we told you in the claim, this is how it needs to be repaired. So you set us up for failure. And no matter what we document, we will always come back. We've dealt with people in the you didn't feel one bit of fear. So this sounds like you put out too many claims this year, and now you don't want to fulfill the rest of your claims honestly, so you're trying to nickel and dime every claim. Didn't say anything in response. It was just a dead silence. I hope this call is being recorded. The exact cost of what we buy it for. We're not making any profit off the sale of the part. And they still don't want to work with us.
Wow. I don't like situations like that. Some other bad third-party policies that are giving me a headache. I mean, this latest one paid out okay. I don't know why it's not focusing for you guys. Yeah, this YouTube streaming app. Sometimes you guys get a really, really good picture, and sometimes you guys get screwed over on your picture quality. That's just YouTube. Sorry. Alright, so I got that line installed. I got my transfer valve installed. Get this insert back on. Off. Still got to put the nut right there. This latest one that I just finished up today, they eventually ended up paying for everything with the car meter. They were just pathetic. They were like, well, just do this one thing first and see if that works, and then try this next thing to see if that works. 2 weeks I've been at home working on this car when it could have all been done in one day. The car had an evaporator core leak and it had a dead compressor. But they were like, well, we'll fix the leak first and we'll see what it does. Well, it's not going to do anything. The compressor won't turn on. The compressor's dead. Well, yeah, just fix the leak first. So, car came in on a Monday, diagnosed it that Monday, submitted the claim the next morning. Investigator shows up on Thursday, paperwork processes through over the weekend, the claim gets approved, we pull parts on the next Monday, so the car's been here for 7 days. I haven't got paid for it, or anything that I've done. Because I don't get paid until the claim goes through. So then I do the work, I get it done. Immediately I'm like, hey, what do you know, the compressor don't turn on. Okay, so I gotta call the claim office back up. Hey, get your guy out here, come back and look at it. And go. That's one of the crappy things about being a mechanic is, you know, You get paid on job completion, but when it comes to some of these third-party warranties, you can't get paid until that stuff clears. So this was another third-party policy that just kind of went on the board, and we sent them a message and said, like, you get us to run around like that again, we ain't working with you. They don't care. They're just gonna run their little sideshow until enough people, until they can't sell their policy anymore because nobody wants to deal with them. And then they'll just rebrand the company. And nobody will be any of the wiser. And it's really, really disappointing to know that you can do that with businesses here in the United States. That nobody wants to bother putting any policy down preventing that from happening. Much like how a lot of really bad people, like people who just have really bad, I'll just say, don't take it personally if I use cops as an example, but we have law enforcement officers, from deputies, sheriffs, regular PD departments, how they can have just such a bad rap of treating people wrong, doing things out of procedure, being on wild cards, and they'll act like that until they get kicked off the force, but they can just go to another county or another state and get rehired instantly. With little to no. Be like, hey, like, if we find out why this guy's found, and it's not in our system, don't worry about it. Then your life is ruined. I know because that falls you dishonorably discharged. You can't do that. Nobody cares what you're dishonorably discharged for. All they know is like, yeah, you must be a bad dude. No, maybe you were just an idiot. Maybe you were just somebody who was the wrong place at the wrong time. I know people who've gotten dishonorably discharged just because of the DUI. Well, it was very unfortunate. It was just one person that the commander decided to make an example. Maybe at that time, that base, that installation was having a DUI problem. So he was like, you know what? The next dude that comes into my office with a Dewey, I'm kicking him out. I've seen that happen at a bunch of bases. I've watched staff sergeants, okay, E7s, get busted all the way down to an E3. Get discharged dishonorably. sorry if I had a bad attitude about that. Sometimes I can get to talking. Let's just fix cars, huh? Let's just fix cars. You know, I did just finish the second episode of the Sandman series. Okay. I like listening to audiobooks. So, Audible has a fantastic audio series based on the DC Comics Sandman. Holy crap, are they done so well. The writing is amazing, the voice acting is amazing, the narration is amazing. Just, wow, I've met one person that didn't think it was amazing. And yes, there is a Netflix series called The Sandman. And yes, it does a pretty good job. I'll give it compared to the graphic novel and the audiobook, I'm going to give that Netflix series a 7.5 out of 10. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. Only because, let's see here, I always knock off the whole star based on my, like, how much I want to rewatch the show. Okay? That's a big thing. So I watched the show, first thing on, I was like, is this something that I would be comfortable rewatching? So I think that the way that they edited it, the directing's good, the acting's great. The editing, the episodes are way too long. I think the show would have been better suited with 30-minute episodes instead of 1-hour episodes. You can still tell the 1 hour. It makes the pacing better. It keeps the users better. A really good team that took that information well and acted upon it very well was the production team, the director and the editor who does the animated series Invincible on Amazon. If you haven't seen that series, that's an amazing series. I'm over here on the condenser now. I really love the Invincible series. You know, I didn't really understand just that little pace in the formatting, taking a 1 hour show and making it a show. Really I didn't get that until they took a hit. Episodes from the X-Files. You know, a lot of people seen X-Files. We all know Scully and Mulder. And he goes like, hey, check this out. All right. So it says like your homework today. It says you're gonna watch this episode of X-Files. Take it home, watch it, come back in 2 days, and we're gonna talk about it. Right? We do that. We come in on Tuesday, put some instructions. We go home. Wednesday, I watch the episode. I've seen this before, but I watch it just in case. He's gonna ask us questions. You know, lighting, directing, stuff like that. And he did. Alright, now we talk about it, and he explains pacing, the story. Alright. So now I want you to. And I gotta put that one in. Dang it. Forgot about that guy. And I already hooked up this. I already put that back. Son of a gun. So then he goes, alright. Now I'm going to send you on. And you're going to watch the same episode, but my team and I have edited it into 2 episodes. Okay? Completely different feelings. Like, I kid you not. And I put in my essay for that was, so I said, hey, listen, I put in, I said, listen, I grew up with X-Files. This is my summary. I'm paraphrasing. I grew up with X-Files. So I saw this episode. I've been deployed multiple times, and when you're deployed, there's just box sets of TV shows. I've seen it again because we binge watched all the X-Files while we were in Iraq. Then I just watched it again Tuesday for your class. And now I'm watching it like a 4th time with your new editing for a 2-part episode, 30 minutes. A completely different experience. After the 30 minutes, my brain immediately went to what's next. Like, I already knew it was going to happen, but I felt the suspense. So I understood the message that he was delivering with. What are we going? Oh, it's almost 4:06. Looks like we'll have to pick this up in the morning. Because this line is going to involve this engine harness loom. It's going to have to come out of the way so I can lay this down without having to bend anything. But you would think you could just kind of scoop it under, but this hose is very, very soft and very, very kinkable. If I put a kink in there and a kink changes the internal diameter of this little tiny hose, it'll change pressures and it'll make this compressor work differently, which will make the DC not work as well. I have seen this many, many, many times where I'm losing my mouth. I've seen this too many times on these hard AC lines where someone's been in here and they're like, oh, I just need to scooch it over, and they kink it, and then they just think they bend it, and they try and bend it back, but they don't know that they made a kink. And after a little while, the customer comes to another shop and be like, my AC don't work as well, and nobody can figure out what's going on. Look at these lines really close. You got to get a really good light on them. Okay, get your bright light. Look at them real close. You want to feel all the way around them. Feel for kinks. You'll find a kink, something that doesn't belong there. There's your problem. Because a kink will obstruct the flow. Think of it like a water hose, okay? You turn the hose on. You don't have a nozzle on. It's just a bare hose. You're holding it in your hand like that. Put your thumb over it. The water now, instead of just pouring out and going right here, because you got your thumb, you've created a different pressure and it's squirting farther. But are you getting the same amount of water coming out? No. You're getting a little bit less water, but you're getting it at a higher pressure. And you see this line has a sensor on there. It's a pressure sensor. Sees the pressure going up, so it says, hey, the compressor must be overworking itself. Dial it down a little bit. Well, when it dials it down, now you're not getting enough pressure over there on your evaporator core. Now, because you're not getting enough Freon going through your evaporator core, it's not going to work as well. All because you got a hose kink. Too many times I've seen that. Okay, sorry, somebody's saying my audio is fading in and out. Randy wants to know what made it explode. Well, I only recovered about 1/10 of a pound. That's about 90 grams out of the system. And this is a 1.2 pound system. So this customer was not concerned about his AC blowing warm. And because this is a, what do they call it? This is a variable flow compressor. All right, that means that this pulley is always spinning around. It has a solenoid back here that regulates how much flow is actually going into the AC system. So basically, this thing's running at full beans all the time, but this is a spill valve. So it can just spill the pressure back into itself as it needs it. There's no clutch. When you have a clutch style compressor, if it's engaged, the compressor's on. When it's not engaged, it's just free spinning. So this thing was spinning, it had no lubrication in it, and it eventually just seized up. And when it seized up, the serpentine belt was still going, trying to turn this, and it eventually just snapped. So yeah, these variable flow compressors, they're much more efficient, and they can take less load off your engine. They give you better fuel economy. But if you're not getting the chilly air that you desire, you got to go to a shop. You need to get it checked out, and you got to make sure that your charge is good, because you need to have both Freon and oil in the system to keep this lubricated and keep it from overheating. Epic wants to know, what are we fixing here? Well, we're just replacing everything in the AC system. Uh-oh, someone got a P0013. I think that is something to do with your VVT. First things first when checking that code is always look at your oil change and make sure your oil level is correct. Because if you're running old oil, or you have too little oil or too much oil, you can make those VVT systems act up. Alonzo's here. Hello, Alonzo. All right, folks. We'll pick this up Saturday and get this car out of the shop. I just don't want to go into removing a bulkhead harness this late in the day. She is going on 6. And I promised the family I would stop working late. So, thumbs up. Enjoy your Friday. Have a good day.